Welcome back. 365 Sports. Sam Kahn of The Athletic joins us now. And Sam, we were just talking about, and we'll start with this, and we'll get to the SEC and all the other stuff and Farmageddon in a second. But I'm sure you saw us talking about Deshaun Foster and his now no interviews policy. Like, all the things he said sounded like it's his first day of, like, people filming a practice, which it shouldn't be, and he was an assistant. Like, he should see all these things. Like, you know, first 20, 30 minutes of stretching, you film that, and then after practice, you bring a couple guys, and you do a couple things for 10, 15 minutes, and then everybody leaves. I'm kind of confused at what he thinks is supposed to happen.
Counterpoint, then those reporters don't have to stand out at practice anymore. And watch stretching. You know, because let me tell you how exhilarating that is. When people say that we have an awesome job, which we do, they think it's all glamour and glory. Brother, go stand out. Well, in California it's not, but in Texas here, go stand out when it's 105 degrees and watch some guys stretch for 20 minutes. But look, there's a couple things with this. Number one, I think Deshaun Foster, maybe he doesn't care, but I wonder if he overestimates how invested people are in UCLA football. Because the thing is there is that old saying that all publicity is good publicity. It's not necessarily true, but in the case of a program that's struggling and that's trying to get off the ground, any positive pub you can get is good for your program. Especially in the offseason when you're undefeated and you haven't lost any football games, it is really good to engender positive feelings and get your fan base fired up and give them reasons to be fired up. I'm not saying that reporters in the media are the only way to do that, but it certainly doesn't hurt. You can leverage it to your benefit if you know how to use it correctly. And there's many coaches who have given us that example. Number two, I seem to remember Pete Carroll winning a national championship while letting everybody and their mother come to practice. Won multiple national championships at USC. They're doing that. It was a different era, obviously, but still, there's a reasonable, happy medium to be met. You don't have to give, as Paul was saying earlier, you don't have to give unfettered access to every reporter, and you don't have to let them film everything. There can be a give and take. You don't even have to open practice. Just allow some interviews, which are pretty low stakes for the most part, and let your players represent the program really well. I also think the thing that's kind of unsaid about this is that it doesn't help your players prepare for being a pro, which kind of they already starting are to be now with the current era that we're in with compensating players. It also doesn't help their NIL or marketability, because the more your face is out there and the more people are talking about you, the better that is for your brand if it's for a good reason. So I will say this, I don't have a historical log or ledger to record all these things, but I cannot remember an instance where a coach doing this ended good or ended well. It seems to always be the precursor to something that doesn't end very well. So I don't have a lot of high hopes for UCLA or Deshaun Foster. I am intrigued, of course, by Nick Iamaleava over there, and I think it'll be interesting to watch them this year.
Yeah, I think you summed up my feelings perfectly across the board. I feel the same way. I just don't know that he quite gets it right now. So maybe he'll figure it out, maybe not. But like you said, it's maybe a little bit of an ominous sign as well. So it'll come down to winning, like everything else, Sam. And speaking of winning, that's about to matter, because there's going to be actual wins and losses starting this weekend, man. This long wait. We're finally here. I know there's some CFP stuff and some scheduling stuff, but I need to get it out there. Iowa State, K-State. Top 25 matchup. Wildcats are 17, Cyclones 22, out in Ireland, 11 a.m. on ESPN. K-State, slight favorites here, Sam. I know you're excited, but here we are, man. Your thoughts on being here and getting this game right out the chute here.
Ooh, I'm glad we get Farmageddon on a national scale, because this is a game that I think Big 12 fans or people in the middle of the country really appreciate. But I don't know that it has the nationwide cachet that it should, because it is a long-running rivalry, and it is a good one. And right now we have both teams are very good, and both teams are Big 12 title contenders. So I'm super fired up about this game. You get Rocco Beck, you get Avery Johnson, you've got some talent on both sides of the ball. You get two tenured coaches who have been at their places for a while. Chris Kleiman's been at K-State for a bit now. Matt Campbell's been at Iowa State for a while. Both of them have done pretty well there. So this is a important game, not just in the greater landscape, but it's important for both of these programs. And Doing it in Ireland is a really cool opportunity for them, and having this be a showcase game for everyone to kick everyone off, I think is fun. I kind of like Iowa State a little bit more in this one. I know K-State's a favorite, but I've got a feeling about Iowa State this year. I don't know. They came so close to getting back to the Big 12 title game last year, or they did get the Big 12 title game. They ended up losing to Arizona State and got hammered. I have a feeling they can get back there this year. I don't know that I would pick it just today, but I think they're going to very much be in the mix. And I'm really high on Becht and Carson Hansen and a lot of the guys they got back at Iowa State. So I like the Cyclones in this one, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and you get two really dynamic quarterbacks to watch.
Do you think that this is so weird that the first game of the season, the loser could be kind of out of it behind it because of how big the leagues are in the schedule? But I think it was Tim Brando last week, and he said, look, I think it sounds weird, but I think the winner of this game is pretty much, set themselves up for the fast lane to the championship game. And then and the loser is now going to have to kind of dig out of it, since everybody else is going to have, some non-conference games and things in between.
Yeah, it is definitely puts you behind the eight ball because, again, we've talked so much this offseason about the depth of this conference and how many of these teams could actually win this league. So when you start ticking down the schedule for almost every team in the league, you look down and you say, wow, it's really going to be tough. You look at K-State, they have a stretch in the middle of the season where they've got Baylor, TCU, Kansas, Texas Tech, all in consecutive weeks. Iowa State has a stretch where they got BYU, Arizona State, TCU, Kansas. So Cincinnati also is kind of interesting. Colorado's kind of interesting. So any win you can get is going to be really valuable because chances are the teams that make the Big 12 title game are going to have a loss, maybe two. I think in last year's case, they both had two losses. We ended up having, I think it was a four-way tie at the top of the conference. So those wins are so valuable because I think they're so hard to come by. So there's no doubt that if you're Chris Kleiman or you're Matt Campbell, you have a real sense of urgency going into this week.
So Kansas is also in action against Fresno State. They're a couple touchdown favorites. Have you seen the new stadium digs and the pictures and everything? It seems like KU, and then that new investment that they got just last week, I mean, that opens some eyeballs as well. I mean, they're pouring in, Sam, to this program and to Lance Leipold. Last year, good outlook that didn't pan out all the way, and they were just a game short of making a bowl game. How do you feel about the Jayhawks this year?
I'm so intrigued by them because it took so long for them to figure it out last year, but once they did, they got hot, and they were a really tough out. You guys remember they beat BYU down the stretch. They beat Colorado down the stretch. They beat Iowa State, I think, late in the season, if I remember correctly. So they were a team that was really hard to reckon with once they got their footing about them. And if they can just start a little bit quicker this year and get things going, then they are one of those teams that I wouldn't put them in the top 5 or top 6, but they're in that next tier of teams that, like, well, if things break their way, they could be in the conversation. To your point about the investment in David Booth with the $300 million, that's huge because, look, in this era, it's all about money. It's all about being able to get players. And in order to get players, you need the money. And so they've got the facility investment with the stadium being unveiled, which will be great because now they're not playing at multiple different stadiums like they were last year. But also now there's going to be that investment that helps them from an athletic department standpoint as they try to compete in the rev share era. Because one thing that is interesting is that everyone, or I think all the Power Four programs we're expecting are going to be at the cap. But then next year, the cap goes up because the cap is 22% of the average Power 4 revenues. Well, average Power 4 revenues continue to go up every year. So that means next year the cap will go up. So what I'm interested to see is over the next few years, how many programs are still willing to go to the cap. And if you have somebody in your back pocket like Kansas has with David Booth or Texas Tech has with Cody Campbell or any other program that has a mega booster that's willing to fund some of this stuff, that helps you a big way in able to try to continue to fund at the highest level and be competitive and get the players that you need to win it in the long run.
Sam, okay, SEC 9 games. That's coming ACC probably. It seems like it's coming ACC to follow suit because ACC trailblazing always, not at all following. So do you think this kicks off 5 plus 11? now that that we've agreed, like, we're all going to be at 9 games, and the Big Ten will back off their automatic qualifiers between 16, 28, 610, whatever they throw out there?
Anything that keeps us off of the multiple automatic qualifier per conference plan is a win. Okay. If we want to go to 16 and 5-11, it's not my favorite format, but I'll live with it. I'm A-okay if we live at 12. I think 12 is fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with letting 12 breathe. But as we all know, it's about money, and a larger playoff means more money. So the best way to make that happen is to, and that, because that's the other thing that's fascinating me about this is, why are we in such a rush to change it by 26? And I think it's because the contract changes and all that good stuff, but it's not a must. There's not. I talked to a head coach in a Power 4 conference earlier this week, and he goes, what's wrong with letting the 12 team breathe for a little bit? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but you know, that head coach is not necessarily trying to chase the network dollars and all the other stuff that helps fill the conference's coffers. So if we have to expand, then I mean, I laid out a plan. I know you guys discussed it on Monday. I laid out a plan for following the FCS model. Yeah. That'll never happen, but that would be the best way to do it.
It looked awesome. It's just you know they're not going to go through with it though.
It's not. Yeah. No, it's not, because no one's going to give the every G5 conference champ a bid, even though that's the logical thing to do. But absent that, if we're going to expand with only at larges, let's keep the conference title 1 per conference. That's fine. I can live with it. And getting to 9 conference games, I think, is substantial. Now, I realize that they tweaked the strength of schedule metric and all that stuff, and they're going to stack the deck so that the SEC teams and the Big Ten teams look better. Fine, whatever. I just get it done and move on, because I do think we are well past the point that the SEC has needed to play 9 conference games. Once the Pac-12 and the Big Ten were doing it, I believe that all the power conferences, especially once they expanded to the size that they are, if you have 16 teams in the conference, there's no reason that you should have 8 conference games. You should have at least 9. And so getting us there with the SEC and the ACC is long overdue. And once we do that, then everyone's on an equal playing field. In the Big 12, the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC, and the ACC all playing 9. Then we can start comparing oranges to oranges, because if you're the SEC and you want to say your big back strength of schedule, but you play 1 less conference game, it doesn't really ring the same, especially if you're playing only 1 Power 5 out of conference when all the other ones are all doing the same. So let's get everybody on the same playing field, and then let's see how it turns out.
Yeah, I think part of their, like, our schedule's really hard, you guys. You don't know what it's like to be us. Like, that's what it sounds like to me when you hear the coaches, and when you're like, hey, do you want to, like, 8 games versus 9 games?
You just don't get it.
Yeah, like, you guys don't know. It's so hard. Do you know what it's like to be the coach at Ole Miss? It is so much pressure. And, like, that's what it sounds like to me. And, like, okay, well, then play 9, and then, or everybody else plays 8 because it's hard for everybody. It really falls on deaf ears when you're like, okay, well, you guys are just taking darts at things that aren't necessarily easily comparable just because you think it is. Because the stadiums might be bigger or all these other things. Like, yeah, we know it's a tough conference, but, you know, let's not there's a lot of people, I think, riding off of Nick Saban's success in that league that haven't even come close to it and been like, it's really hard. Well, like, okay, but let's talk about this realistically.
Yeah, and that's not to say that all of those points are illegitimate. That they do produce more NFL players than any other conference. They do have more line of scrimmage talent than most other conferences, and that does have an impact, and that's true. That's fine. But then guess what? Then everyone else should play 8 then, because because your conference, you may have better players in your conference, it doesn't mean that you need to play a different amount of conference games. And I understand this is college football. It's not going to be uniform. Everything's not going to be equal. I get that. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. You're going to say, well, we're going to play this FCS game in week 14 or week 13 right before the end of the year while everybody else is playing conference games. It means something. Oh, but then we want to get an extra margin for error when we get considered for the at-large playoff berth. Like all the hand-wringing about Alabama not getting the playoff last year with a 3-loss team, well, their schedule and all this and that, that's fine. But you know what? The only reason that they were considered as a 3-loss team is because of their conference and because of who they are and because of the color on their jerseys and the number on their helmet. And so that is built in my opinion. And so the SEC and the Big Ten already get a lot of deference when it comes to it. What annoys me is that they want more deference than they're already getting when, by the way, 10-2 BYU over here lost 2 games to 2 pretty good teams and then was just forgotten about forever, despite the fact that they beat a team that actually made the playoff.
Sam Kahn of The Athletic. Sam, what's your plan for Saturday? Take me through the day of an Athletic reporter on kickoff Saturday.
I'm going to Ireland. Are you kidding? No, I'm joking. I wish.
Listen, I know you've got the jet, waiting.
I wish. Yeah. No, I mean, just going to be watching all like you guys. Usually I watch in my office on a game day. I sit here right I'm standing up right now, but in the chair that's to my left. And I sit here at this desk and I have a big monitor right in front of me. And then I have a TV over here in the corner. And I have my laptop right here also. And so it's kind of like mission control in a way when I'm home for a game. And I'll be watching throughout the whole day. And I'm going to tell you, everyone's talking about Farmageddon. You know the game that I'm excited about? I'm excited about the 2 night games, Sam Houston, Western Kentucky, and Stanford, Hawaii. We get to see Maverick McIver and Rick Bowie at Western Kentucky go up against Phil Longo in his coaching debut at Sam Houston. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then Stanford, we just saw, obviously, they named a quarterback Ben Goldbranson, but you got Hawaii's got Micah Alahado, who started 1 game, I think, last year. He started the bowl game, threw for 469 yards, 5 touchdowns. Insanity. So I'm really intrigued to see, was that just like a flash of the pan, or is this kid legit? So I'm going to be definitely tuning into the night game to see what Hawaii has and how they look against Stanford.
All right, Sam, look, I'll bring my Gulfstream. You can leave yours at home. Me, you, Craig, we'll go to Ireland and just pop back. I mean, I know it's a long flight, but I mean, when you're flying private, it feels shorter.
It does. As long as you pick me up, I'm all good.
All right, good. Yeah, we'll swing down to Houston and get you, buddy. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Sam Kahn of The Athletic.